As the U.S. government shutdown drags on, could it have implications here in Canada? What could it mean, for example, for ratification of the new NAFTA? And Janice McGregor is here to explain. Hi, Janice.
Hello.
Nice
Happy
to see
New
you.
Year.
Happy New Year to you too. So, what is the potential for this shutdown to affect? The CUSMA, CUSMA, USMCA, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that's right. So Canadians watching the ratification process in this new Congress, there's a couple of really key things to keep your eye on. One is the fact that the International Trade Commission is part of the shutdown. Now, why do we care? Well, they're in the middle of a very important economic analysis right now. They held hearings in November. Written submissions for their analysis were due by December. And within 105 days of the signing ceremony, remember on November 3rd, or 30th rather, we had all the leaders there. Within 105 days, so by early March, the ITC has to come out with a report for Congress to explain what the economic benefits for America are of this new trade deal. They look at certain sectors that would be affected, its impact on consumers, as well as the effect on the overall American economy. That work has stopped. It is shut down because the analysts who would be doing that work aren't being paid. It's part of the shutdown. So the question is, if the shutdown goes on for a long time, can they still hit this 105-day window? Does this push the ratification process back in Congress? Because let's say I'm a trade skeptic Democrat and I would like to see this report before deciding which way to vote. I'm not going to want to entertain any kind of implementation legislation from the Trump administration until I have this report in hand, until I have seen these numbers, until I have had time to review it. So the timing of this report, whether it gets done on the original timeline, is very key. And when we saw the U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer musing about potential March votes for ratification, he was basing it on this 105-day timeline. So that's why the shutdown now starts to matter to Canadian trade watchers.
Speaking of those trade skeptic Democrats, many of whom now control as a bunch the House, what could happen this week, or what are you kind of looking at when it comes to the House and the deal?
Right. So the new Congress was sworn in last week. You've been talking about that in your show. Now they get down to work in terms of setting up in terms of committees. And all these committees now have Democrat majorities. And there is a subcommittee of the Ways and Means Committee of the House, which is the one that everyone is going to be watching as far as this ratification process. There's actually a trade subcommittee. We don't know yet who the chair is going to be. There are 3 senior Democrats apparently in the running. The most senior, who is considered most likely to get it, is a known NAFTA skeptic. So that will probably be sorted out possibly by the end of this week, and it's definitely something to watch because the early signals that we get from the new chair of this trade subcommittee could set the tone for this. I always bring my props. So first we have the report I was talking about, then we have implementation legislation, and it goes to this Ways and Means Committee first.
It's an important committee.
Yeah. So you know, if it stalls there, if it runs into difficulties there, the whole thing can come crashing down, and that's obviously a huge concern for Canadians who want this thing to pass.
All right, thanks for the update. Thanks,
No
Janice.
problem.
CBC's Janice McGregor.